Hey, gang, it's Steve Bowler, also known as Stand Tall Steve. And we're doing a little something different this time for this episode of the School Climate and Culture Show. What I want to do is I'm going to go back into the crates to the old show, which is the Stand Tall Leadership Show. And we did an episode, Meg and I did an episode called Efficiency and Effectiveness. And it was really powerful, amazingly powerful. So for this episode, we are going to resurrect that episode so that you can hear it now and get it, understand it, and implement it. So check it out. Here we go. The School Climate and Culture Show via the Stand Tall Leadership Show, which we don't have anymore, but it was a great episode. Efficiency versus effectiveness. Check it out. How well can you execute that great experience that you have? That's how efficient you can be. Effectiveness, how well you do things, is your efficiency, which is your expertise in execution of it, plus your emotion, your value, your want, your desire in order to get the job done.
Welcome to the School Climate and Culture Show. Hosted by Steve, a passionate advocate of positive school climate and culture, together with Megan Deedy. Join us as we explore strategies, share success stories, and provide actionable tips to improve the culture and climate in your school.
Hey, welcome back to the Stand Tall Leadership Show. My name's Steve Bowler, and I'm here with
Megan Deedy. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Meg. We got today's topic. We're going to be talking about meetings, how to have really good meetings. We're going to be talking about making decisions. We're going to talk about how to end the school year well, how to take a break better. I mean, there's some really, I think, some good topics that I think we're going to be bringing up for the remainder of this calendar year, which will really be wonderful for everybody who's listening. So
Absolutely.
All right. So what's our topic for today?
Well, Steve, we're going to be talking about efficiency and effectiveness. You have to kind of say it slower because they're hard to say quickly.
Yeah, efficiency, effectiveness. Yeah, you can say it kind of fast and mess it up.
So those are kind of our topics today. And honestly, if you just think about the word themselves, they're hard to say because they're kind of similar, but they have some different meanings. Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts on efficiency and effectiveness? How would you define those?
The reason why we have these two together is because I think they marry each other. And sometimes it's a strenuous, tenuous marriage, right? They need marriage counseling, these two words together. And there's different levels as you can think about when you're talking about efficiency and effectiveness. We can talk about generationally, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about efficiency, effectiveness as it relates to in the classroom. We'll talk about it as it relates to administrators in your leadership. And we can even talk about it in our own lives as it relates to efficiency and effectiveness. Just looking specifically at the definition of it, let's get as basic as we can with the definition of it. Efficiency, to me, is how quickly something can get done. Efficiency, quick and easy. Let's be efficient with this. Let's not waste any time. That's the whole purpose of efficiency. Effectiveness, on the other side of this, is how well something can get done. How effective is it? Do we get the outcomes of what we wanted to see, regardless of time? And time has something to do with effectiveness, but not completely. And I have a little formula with it, which I'll share in a little bit. But does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, if you just hear the word effectiveness, you want something to be done well. I got it. And generationally, I kind of want to dig into that a little bit after we hear your formula for that, because I think it's very unique how you think of the generation of it.
It is. I think it is unique too. Okay. So for those of you that are watching the video of this, those of you who are on YouTube, I'm going to put something up on the screen so you can see it. But those who are listening, I'm going to read it all out so that you can have a better understanding of everything with this as well. All right. I want to make sure that everybody has this. So efficiency, what we talked about before, and the actual definition, we looked up the definition of it, is the accomplishment of or the ability to accomplish a job with minimum expenditure of time and effort. So when you're getting a job done, you're getting something to happen, and you have the minimum amount of effort that you're putting in to get that job done. So that is the first piece of this, to make sure you have a clear understanding of what it all is. Okay. So that's the efficiency part. Now, for effectiveness, the effectiveness is adequate to accomplish a purpose, producing the intended or expected result. So you're doing something and you're getting the intended result that you want to see. So here's the formula. All right. Here's the formula. So efficiency is your expertise plus the execution of your expertise. So you're an expert, or whatever level your expertise is. It might, if let's say you have something new that you're doing, your level of expertise may not be that high. It might be low. And how well you can execute that equals to what your level of efficiency is. So if you say that let's say you're a seasoned teacher and you have lots of experience in this, how well can you execute that great experience that you have? That's how efficient you can be. And there's tools that you can use to help you with your level of efficiency, right? Okay. So then your effectiveness, how well you do things, is your efficiency, which is your expertise in execution of it, plus your emotion, your value, your want, your desire, those things, yeah, wants and desire, in order to get the job done. And that equals your effectiveness, how effective you will be. Those are the formulas in order to make that happen. Okay, I pause. Meg, what is
Yes.
your thought?
Ooh. So my thought
Yeah.
of this is, I'm trying to think as a classroom teacher, because this is not how to be more efficient or how to be more effective for this
Mm-hmm.
conversation, but rather like be aware of how efficient and effective you're being in the spot that you're at.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking as a classroom teacher, how do you know that you're being effective? How do you know that you're being efficient in the work that you're doing? How does that look in your classroom? How does that make you feel? So as a veteran teacher, effectively delivering a content, delivering the program that's the best of my effort for it, so that the end result, the students are having student growth. We're differentiating, we're getting the needs they're needing to have in that classroom space.
Yeah. Well, the goal, exactly what you're thinking. You're thinking correctly. And the purpose of this podcast, this show, isn't necessarily to give you a solution to say, hey, do this. All right. We want to make you aware, because I think that awareness lends itself to changes that you can make in reflection, and you can do better with it yourself. The goal is to fit in the middle, right smack dab in the middle of this, where you're being really efficient and the effectiveness, the outcomes are getting what you want to be. That's where the balance needs to happen. And let's talk from the administrative standpoint. A lot of times with the administrative standpoint, we are pushing the effectiveness. We want great outcomes, but we're not taking consideration the efficiency. Like, we want it to be done quicker than what is reality. And therefore you have stress on your teachers, because you want to get these amazing outcomes, but yet you're not giving them the time to do it. How many teachers out there and educators out there are always yelling, I don't have enough time to do this. What is it they are expecting me to do? Am I right? Am I wrong on this? Am I,
No,
Meg?
you're going to hit a pain point here in a minute,
No.
Steve. I mean, Integrated was born on the fact that Kara and I did not have enough time to effectively do the things that we were being asked to do in the classroom.
Mm,
So, you're right. It's constantly, we don't have time to do that. So that's where in the classroom, as a teacher, you need to step back and think, is what I'm doing purposeful? Why
yeah.
am I feeling so stressed out? Why is this not working for my students? Am I using the programs correctly? What parts are working for my students this year that might not have worked last year, might have worked great last year, but it's different this year? So what
Mm-hmm.
are you doing to really get that effectiveness out of your students at the end of the show? So
Yeah. And you
yeah.
know what? I love what you're saying. It's like, am I using the programs? Am I using the curriculum? Am I using the resources properly? Now, if we go back to what I said, efficiency is the definition and the formula, which is your expertise plus the execution of that expertise. If you have a new program, all right, new curriculum that's coming in, whatever like that, and the expectation of the administration of the school, the district, of the state is to use this program, your level of expertise is going to be lower until you know it. But yet the administration and your leadership, they give you training. All right, you had the training before school started. We had 3 days, go. How come your level of efficiency isn't that what it needs to be to get the effectiveness out of it yet? Now we're talking about expectations, unrealistic expectations. And then there's some teachers who have wisened up like, oh my gosh, we can't do this. How, come on. And then there's other teachers who are like, well, if that's what they say, that must be true. And I got to do this. And now you're stressed out. And then,
Then
that
your
they have a
emotion,
vicious cycle. What's that?
your emotion is all over the place, and
Your emotions all over the place.
it's not going to
Yes.
work. It's not
Right.
going to work. Yeah,
It's
there is, Steve, there's nothing better than getting back that first week of school and saying, "Hey, we're picking up a brand new program for X, and
yeah.
you have training on this day." And really, anymore, Steve, that training is this is how you use it online. This is how you get your resources. But at the end of the day, we're not told how to use it effectively. We can't be efficient. Because you're right, we're trying to do all of those things at the same time. So yeah, there's just a piece. And your resource is only as good as the person using it.
It
So how
is.
using that
Yes.
resource.
And people learn at different levels. I mean, we know this. We're talking about differentiation of students. We're talking about 504s, IEPs, learning plans. Why do we have all of these things? Because we know that students learn at different levels and different rates and different speeds. But yet, as the educator, we forget adults learn at different rates, different speeds, in different ways. So if you're getting these things that are coming in, it's going to take different time for different people to move at different rates to be able to implement it properly. Now, as an administrator, yes, there needs to be oversight. Yes, you do need to push a little to make sure that they're staying on top of it. Yes, you need to make sure that you're supporting them, but also let's work within the realm of reality of what efficiency and effectiveness really is, and how that effectiveness can be manifested better over time by increasing the efficiency and the understanding of that. Because remember, in the formula, efficiency is in the formula of effectiveness. But we got to get that, we got to make that happen. We really do.
Yeah.
That's it. You know what really drives me crazy?
Oh.
And been in and out of a lot of schools, and you know this, is when I've been into certain schools and they say all fourth grade teachers need to be on this chapter, on this page, on this aspect of the lesson at the same time, all of the classrooms. It's a must. And you got 7 fourth grade classrooms, even if you have 2 fourth grade classrooms.
It's not going to happen. It's not. You know what? Okay, so we're hitting a lot of pain points today.
Ooh, we're hitting it.
We're just touching. Get it, poke it. So Kara and I work with a lot of teams of teachers, or they'll come to our sessions and they'll say, how do we do this in our classroom? Because we're supposed to be on week 1, day 5, on this day. How do I break away from that? And with a little bit of grain of salt, I say, don't do it that way a little bit. I mean, you need to teach the standard. You need to teach the content that you're being asked to teach. But what if you did it a little bit different? What if you met the needs of your students in your classroom at this time and used a little bit of your efficiency with the resources that you have so that the outcome is effective for not only yourself as a classroom teacher, but also all the different needs of your students in your classroom? Because differentiating 20 different humans, at any given time, you need to think creatively. And these programs that we're getting, there's no creativity, because you cannot make a program that fits the needs of every classroom in the United States. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
So that is where you need
Although there are good, please don't get me wrong, all the content creators out there, okay? All the curriculums that are out there, content creators in education, please don't get us wrong in that. There's some great programs out there, but keep in mind the human aspect of it all, from the student standpoint and from the teacher standpoint, and work within a sense of reality. as it relates to efficiency and effectiveness and where we want it to go. And then from the administrative standpoint, yes, it is your job to have oversight. It is your job to push them a little bit. You may have teachers, a lot of different factors in there. You might have some lazy teachers in there. You might have some people who aren't working up to their ability. Maybe you do need to formulate step by step by step for some teachers. Yes, all that is true. But back to what you were saying, Meg, you have to keep those other pieces in mind. It's not a cookie cutter set for all. Everyone's going to be right where you need to be at a certain point in a certain time every single time.
Nope. You just have to use those resources the best, that you can for that year.
Definitely. Now, let me talk about generational, because I was saying early on, I said we could talk about efficiency and effectiveness as it relates generationally. I'm messing it all up. Here's what I've noticed. Now, I know some of you may go fact checking all of this, and I don't care. This is what I've noticed. All right. In my 28 years, 27, 28 years in education, visiting thousands of schools around the world. There are different generations that lend itself or lead itself closer to different aspects of efficiency versus effectiveness. If you're looking at your baby boomers, Gen Xers, all right, anywhere in that band, they lean very heavily on effectiveness. They like we want it done well. They're not as worried about the length of time to do it. Now, mind you, they have a lot of experience, so they can move things along pretty well because it's just naturally generation of what it is, but they like things done well. I've noticed millennials, Gen Z, Gen Y, they are very much more leaning towards efficiency. They like it to be done quickly, and they have many tools that they utilize for things to be done too quickly. Most of them have all lived in a world that computers are a real thing. Social media is a real thing. Internet's a thing. And that causes efficient things to happen. Systems are set up in place with that move quickly. So generationally, millennials and younger seem to be like, hey, let's get some things done quickly. Let's set up some good systems so that they work well. And then you look at Gen X and baby boomers who did not have those technology pieces so much in their world. They want effectiveness. Let's see what we can do to get the outcomes. What do you think of that? Am I off? This is Steve thinking. This is my experience.
No, I mean, as you're saying it, I'm like, that makes sense. Where do I fall in? I was starting to self-reflect a little bit, like, where am I at? But I think, what if you put those two generations in the same room and gave them a task? Like, what would that look like? Can you imagine if we kind of like meld the two together?
Well, that's what you have in schools now. That's what you have in schools now. You have staff that's that way. I've talked to many of administrators like, I'm having a hard time with my younger staff, or, then you might have a younger administrator like, I have a hard time getting through my older veteran staff. Because they're two different generations in your building. 3, 4. Even.
Yeah. Well, and then you take teams of teachers. How frustrated the veteran teachers are getting with the new teachers because they have all these other resources. Some of them can't keep up, or they don't want to do the thing, or something new comes in, and that's where the emotion comes into play in your formula. So I think, just being aware of these generational thought process. I mean, story time. We just got she's our second year with her on our team, and she's very much in a different generation than we are. Kara and I are the teachers that would come in early, stay a little bit late. Like we're very dedicated, and then she's like, you don't have to stay that late. You don't have to come in that early. Are you getting your job? And we're like, whoa.
Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. Efficiency versus effectiveness.
Yes, like, what was I doing in that time? I don't know, but I'm still getting the job done, and I'm not there 30 minutes earlier than I was. So just, being open-minded in how they're attacking a problem, a solution, what it is. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect example. She is thinking efficiency. You don't need to come in earlier or later. You could do it this way. Here's a more efficient way to get the outcomes. Whereas you're thinking, I need to be in earlier and later because I will feel better because I'm putting the effective work in, not thinking of time, effective work in to make sure I get the outcomes that I want. But you are open-minded to her processes, which are more efficient. And because you've had so much expertise, you can implement those efficiencies very easily.
Boom.
We didn't even practice this, y'all. We
Just
did not
happened.
practice this.
No.
Wow. That's exactly what it is. That's a perfect example. And in the same token, I'm sure there are those people out there who are listening or watching. You can probably see in a situation where there may be a younger teacher on a team who's like, oh, we could do it this way. It's quicker. We don't have to spend all this time. This is my, and that's why you hear from younger teachers, this is my time. It is my time. I have my time. You see TikToks and Instagrams on those teachers and Facebook posts. They don't do Facebook posts. But anyway, all these posts where it is your time as a teacher. You get your time because efficiency, we're talking efficiency again. They're all about efficiency. You are in there, you do your work, and when your time is up, you leave. Whereas us, you put the work in to make sure it gets done right. That's
Absolutely.
where the pride comes in. The pride for us comes in effectiveness. The pride that they come in is how efficient they can be to get some good outcomes. And like I was about to get to before, saying that let's say you have a team where you have someone who is very efficient, but then the effective person's like, look, you really need to slow down. Slow down. That efficiency teacher needs to listen sometimes to the effectiveness teacher and say, okay, let me slow down and figure out a better way. Maybe slower is better. More in-depth is better with that open mindset.
Yeah. And you know what, talking about that, we work with teachers all the time that they're like, well, we just, we've integrated all this stuff and it's just not working and we're feeling stressed. And we literally stop them and say, are you being purposeful in what you're doing in your classroom? Are you purposefully planning the things that you need to do to get to your effective outcome, which is your standards for us? So what are you doing in your class? If it's not working and you're stressed out you're not doing it the way you should be doing it. So absolutely.
And that takes time. That's that effectiveness piece. In that formula, in order to be effective, you have to have efficiency, which is time. You got to have the time. You got to put the time in order to become efficient.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Woo.
You're right. This is a pain point podcast.
Yeah, I wonder how many people are going to like re-listen even and have some thoughts back.
You know what? This is a good point. This would be one of those podcasts that you have to re-listen to in order to get the nuances of what it is that we're talking about here. And again, we're not giving necessary solutions based, because I'm all about here, do this solution. This is things to think about. Look at your teaming, look at your school, look at how you're operating to see where you fit within that efficiency and effectiveness. Right in the middle of that is where you want to be most best outcomes with.
And if we made you a little bit uncomfortable, maybe you should, reflect a little bit on where you're at, because maybe that's you're getting some awareness of your efficiency and effectiveness.
Exactly.
Yeah, great.
That's it.
Great.
So, hey, this was a great session.
We did. Thanks, Steve, for that. That was good.
Yes, it was awesome, you guys. All right. You guys have a wonderful afternoon, evening, and good night. And thanks for checking out the Stand Tall Leadership Show. Have a good one. See ya.